All
Oh,
right, start the YouTube stream here.
live on YouTube for the whole world to see.
Oh, yes.
I'll start promoting my brand, Jumbo Time.
Nice. Jumbo time with Tanim and Jumbo.
That's right.
Jumbo likes
He likes
like
blackberries and raspberries, and
nice Zinfandel.
well, he could. He likes the chill that he feels on his beak. On the other side of the Zinfandel.
Oh, not the like resveratrol. That chill.
Yeah,
Well, that's why you drink it straight from the bottle, right? Jumbo can't get to it.
that's right, straight from the bottle, so Jumbo can't get to any of the alcoholic beverages.
He's gonna like spontaneously grow a big beak just so he can get to your red wine. Okay, how do I change my audio here? All right. Did you guys hear the snap? Oh, where did my audio output go now? External headphones. All right. Could someone say something?
You've gone a lot quieter.
Oh, okay. What about now?
That's good. Mm-hmm.
Better? Okay. Oh no. Reconfiguring the studio here. The books no longer have the wall as a bookend. And so the bookendless books just met their end. All right. Well, we usually take until about 7:10 to get people in. If there's anyone in your friends group that you think might join, feel free to share. Otherwise, the link to the YouTube I'll put in the chat right now. Wait, chat. There we go. I'm also gonna post it in the Discord. Oh, still losing bugs over here. How's the audio coming through? Is it still real quiet?
It's decent.
It's decent, yeah.
Well, decent. That works for now. Hey, this is just this is an unpaid effort here, so we'll get better bit by bit.
I guess I could put this on Yelp, right, and give it 3 stars.
Well, one thing I know for certain is don't share these links on Reddit. If you share a Zoom link, I think there's a couple of scrapers that just scrape for open Zoom rooms. Zoom bombing is real. Oh my god. We're still losing bucks. All right. 7 people's pretty good. With 7 people, you guys feel free to chime in if you have questions about things. I know Tanim's got an update for us tonight that's relevant to everyone. So, you know, if you got questions, feel free to chime in. Sometimes we'll have like 30 or 40 people in here, in which case we recommend that only, you know, a handful of people speak at a time, but 8 people.
Yep.
Well, we got 4 more minutes. I'm going to be roaming around making sure I don't completely blow this now. Also, I need to add some slides. Nah, maybe I just need to delete some slides.
Oh, do you have a presentation all prepared and polished?
Yeah. You know me. I like my keynote. All right. 4 more minutes and we'll get going. I don't need to add my slides. I need to delete slides. What's creativity is subtraction. All right. Who do we got here tonight? Oh, I'm still listed as Python. It says Python. Thank you for your contributions. What's up, Tanim, who's
Yeah.
back with us?
Mhm.
Last 3 times he gave us updates on his COVID tracker. I think he's got one tonight. New name Abdul Malik. Welcome. I think it's maybe first time. How's it
Yeah,
going?
it's my first time.
Cool.
First time.
What are you working on in Python?
I'm new to Python actually. I'm doing trying to learn it and get proficient at it, doing network automation.
Nice. To what end? Like, what do you want to automate on the network?
Well, I work for the state of California, so I'm trying to do some automation with Palo Alto Networks. Just make it easier to manage the firewalls, pull reports, and then doing some Python stuff in the AWS. Again, just automating the network, building
Nice.
out our VPCs. So
did you come through SacTech, or how did you find SacPy?
through meetups, the meetups app.
The meetups? Nice. That's how I
Yeah.
found it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been coming to these since October 2019, and I think it started in 2017.
Oh, okay, cool.
Nice. Well, welcome. Like
Thanks.
I said, guys, I'm gonna be running around grabbing stuff. We'll get going in just a few minutes here. I gotta grab one more thing, and I'll be right back. But well, who else we got? We got Ben, Eric, Jagjit, John F, and Sim. I'll be back in a few, guys. Feel free to introduce yourselves. If you're working on Python, just getting started, or you've got some specific questions, throw it out there. But yeah, I'll be right back.
It's kind of weird, but I don't think Zoom lets you copy stuff out of the chat.
Zoom's not letting you copy paste.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be.
Are you in
think I've-
Slack or Discord?
I'm just talking about in the normal chat from Zoom.
All right. Well, we have some chat channels. Well, it's 7:12. We got 8 people. Welcome everyone. Might as well get this show on the road. Because if Zoom is not letting you copy, that's kind of lame. And then I guess if you can't really click the automate the boring stuff.
If you highlight it, you can copy paste it.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, I just did it. Copied it into Word.
Are
Yeah,
Are
Word.
you using Windows?
Yeah, I'm using Windows. Is there another computer to use?
I mean, that's what I'm on. And yeah, it's all it gives me is like select all, but when I hit Control C, it just doesn't seem to work.
Yeah, same here.
Is your keyboard in Dvorak or like Colmac or something?
No, normal QWERTY.
There's like a QWERTY setting for that.
Yeah.
No, it worked for me both ways. Either drop down copy or Control C.
Well, you must be getting hacked. I don't know. All right, let's get going here. All right, welcome guys and girls, maybe. No, I think it's all guys tonight. Come on, ladies. No, come on, me. I need to promote a little bit more. It's May 6th. Another SacPy. Welcome back. Sorry about the styling last month. It was April Fool's, so I felt like I was allowed to do something, but I don't know. I didn't want to make the meeting too confusing, so I just don't worry though. I wasn't like going to keep that printing. I like this stuff that Josh came up with. All right. Hail to our glorious founder, Josh Miller. Got this thing started February 23rd in like 2017 or so. Apparently got an interesting gig late 2019, and he had me lined up to do a Twilio presentation. I should run that back into a version 2. And he basically jumped. He's like, well, I hope somebody can like continue this, but he got it set up pretty nice. We had a space at the Urban Hive over in Alhambra in Sacramento, and a couple sponsors, but then COVID hit. Well, really, his job hit, and so I ended up taking this over. So it's been pretty cool to like pick up where he left off. He sometimes pops in here. When we get another, maybe we'll get him at the next one. Anyway, these should work. I'll get out of the way real quick. We were talking about chat links. I would recommend getting on both of these. Both of them are reasonably populated. I'm definitely responsive to both. I post everything in there on the day of. I'm sure you've seen. I don't know if anyone's doing the QR code. Maybe a screenshot's the easiest move. But yeah, SacTech is a good one. Who's that? Abdul, you were talking about doing AWS. I hear there's an AWS group there that's pretty active. I think they go, or we actually moved to the first Thursday of the month, so that
Okay.
we wouldn't conflict with them. I don't know if you've been to one of those, but they're on SacTech as
No.
well.
Okay.
And then I think they're online because COVID.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and then the other one's is my company's production server for, or it's Discord server. Anyway, it's good times. I post SacPy content in there as well. We're also in a number of other channels. Follow us on Twitter. We have a subreddit as well. Don't post the Zoom link on subreddit. That's how you get Zoom bombed. We got a Facebook group, and then there's a page as well. I will put links to these in the YouTube later, so don't fear the copy paste on this one. You're actually, oh no, you can't highlight a screen. Okay, we try to get a photo each month. I need to do the updated Brady Bunch photo, but I didn't have enough content. So if you're willing and able, put on your best virtual background. Everyone can that wants to participate, take a moment. I'm gonna stop share and update my background.
Hmm.
Mugshots are good too. All right, I think I got mine. Okay,
Not virtual, it's real.
nice. Oh, there you go. All right, I'm taking a few shots. Smile for the camera, people. All right, cool. Thanks for participating. We got another round. I think we should be able to make the next one. Awesome. Thanks, guys. All right. So back to my screen share on the thing. Oh no, it's gonna make me start over. That's okay. All right. Tanim said he has some updates on this thing. I don't know if you guys have been following along. I don't know if you've seen any of our YouTubes, but they're basically recordings of this meeting. And so it's kind of fun if you guys show up. But we've got recordings the last 3 times that Tanim showed us some
When I
updates on
monopolized
something that
it.
was pretty pretty awesome. He's been visualizing data on COVID, and he's got it running at work at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory on the like some sort of supercompute resources.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and it sounded like he's got an update today. I'll be chiming in with my update, and I think we had a few more. Is Robert here yet? I don't see Robert yet.
He's on the Discord, but I don't see him here.
Well, he's got the link. He can drop in later, but he might have an update. Nilesh, the organizer for like the overarching group for Meetup, he had some a meeting he wanted to announce too, so I dropped a slide in there. But I thought I'd hand the floor over to Tanim for an
Right.
update.
All right,
So-
let me start sharing my screen.
All right, let me stop my
Let's see how
share
I do
and then
this.
allow you to share. There you go. Cool.
Oops. Advanced basic. Wow, it's getting me. Okay, let me see. Do the start share. Advanced. How do I? Oh, that's doing something weird. Like it says. It's gotten a lot of unknowns. Okay, well, I guess there's only the one Vivaldi. Let me just share that. It's not showing me the screen, but okay. Let's see. Oh, open system preferences. Let's see if this thing. I guess in the meantime, maybe you can talk
Cool. Well,
because it looks like I've got to quit and then rejoin to do the sharing. So it'll be maybe 2 minutes.
okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about what I'm going to go over. And while
Okay, cool.
While you do your stuff, but I figure I'll let you go first because I've got a little bit more content.
Okay, sure. It'll just be like a minute, 2 minutes.
Nice. Yeah, basically, so this month we were supposed to have a guy to give some content on Docker. He runs an educational series as a part of his offering for his entrepreneuring. I think he works for a company called Super Orbital. I believe you may have founded it. Seems like it's got some amount of traction. He's doing some interesting stuff, but he had a new client come up, so this week didn't really work out on prioritizing some donated content. But yeah, so I figure I would give an update on a project I've been working with that's kind of adjacent to Python. It's basically like an art/engineering project, and it's I don't know. Basically, it's a marketing brand, and the idea was it was an act. So basically, the long story short was it was all about taxes. I wanted to figure out how to like turn everything in my life into a quantifiable resource for what I was doing. So I came up with all these canvases, and one of them was like, if you register yourself as a model and hire yourself to your own company, you can then like pay for like haircuts because it's an important part of likeness. I don't know, it's ridiculous. But what it really started out with was I wanted to write code and I wanted to make music. So I made a GitHub account and I made a SoundCloud account. And then I have like a Twitter account that goes with it and an Instagram too. And so it was a persona. The idea with the persona was this was going to be a villain character because I was making a video game. And the coolest part about writing a video game, if you do it well, is like writing the villains because like they're the one that like keeps the protagonist striving and all that. And so I made this like goofy like Warhol character villain, and it's all about like wearing costumes like they do at Burning Man, and that's kind of like largely where it was inspired was. Like I'd come back from a camping festival where you spend like several nights camping in the wilderness somewhere and then like go into music. There was one in particular that was pretty cool. It's called Lightning in a Bottle. It was around like the Monterey area. I think it's moved since, but yeah, I remember coming back from that and just thinking like, man, I really wish I had like something to start saving that stuff under because it was kind of weird music. And then like, but it was fun. It was kind of like energetic, but it was very different from like, I don't know, the Beatles or something like that. So I was like, oh man, I wish I had like something I could kind of capture that stuff into. And my career was in like marketing largely, and then like user operations. So I did a lot of customer facing things, public facing things, a lot of soft skills, not a lot of technical. But I started working on the technical, like getting okay at it, but I'm still a noob. All right. Did you get out and in yet, Tanim?
Yeah, it's all good to go.
All right. Well, anyway,
Thanks for warming up the audience for me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do it proper. You're supposed to start with the joke, right? You want to hear the time travel joke
Sure.
again?
Yeah.
All
All right. Okay, I think I'm good to go. I guess thanks, Woody. Yeah, for the past 3 sessions, I guess it's 3 sessions even before this one, I was talking about my work on taking the New York Times COVID-19 database and converting and basically creating tools to visualize it. And the final end product, which I might have even talked about last week, and let me start sharing it, is this website, really a blog page that contains when it really works, the latest up-to-date COVID-19 like cumulative and 7-day average new cases and deaths for the continental US for 13 states that I want to look at, and for 13 metropolitan areas, of which the biggest one is New York City, that I also want to look at. So can you guys see all this? It says COVID-19 running update.
Yep.
Just
Tanim's stupid blog.
Yep.
Yes, it's my stupid blog.
Do you have a smart blog too?
No smart blog. I really can't believe I got hired at the lab, but yes. So the way, if it's actually working as designed, and it was working as of 2 days ago, or probably 3 days ago, is I've got some script that runs every day. It's actually a cron job that runs on a supercomputer that says at 2 in the morning, just download the latest New York Times database stats of COVID-19 cases and deaths, and then create movies that visualize the cumulative and 7-day average new cases and deaths for, I think, 27 regions so far, 13 states, 13 metropolitan areas, and the continental US. And then once it does that, upload it to this thing called DigitalOcean Spaces, which is an AWS S3 bucket underneath the hood. And finally, I think, oh yeah, I think this just works because then it triggers something to my, something called a Pelican blog. A Pelican is just one way of creating a blogging website. I guess it's geared towards programmers. It triggers another, cron job elsewhere on some other server that basically updates this page with the newest data available. So a lot of things. The thing is, if it does work, you'd see something like, maybe, yeah, if I could show it to you here, it'll say as of, the latest date. Its data is supposed to be a day before the current day. So, today's the 6th. Is it the 6th? I can't tell. I think it's the 6th. Yeah, it should say something like 5th May 2021. And I'll show you what these videos look like. This is the cumulative cases and deaths. And, blue is the cases, and in orange is the deaths of the trend of COVID-19. And as you can see here, it was New York City, and in particular, and the Northeast in general, that got hit the hardest. And then, well, it's pretty depressing. So I'll just, it just gets cumulatively darker and darker and darker, or lighter and lighter and lighter. I mean, the news gets darker and darker. And I guess as of, 3 days ago, it was almost 572,000 COVID-19 deaths in the continental US. So all this technology that I'm showing you here, all this tooling, it's all in Python. So there aren't any sort of external things like directly stuff like C++, C, or Fortran, or anything like that. It's all done in Python. And in fact, there's a GitHub page and a Sphinx documentation page for all this work, where I describe the executables and the APIs that I use to generate plots and videos like this. So this is, the Cumulative, and I think, oh, did you saying something, Woody?
I think we should be able to link that in the description. I'll follow up with you afterward just to get the
Right.
links to all that.
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
He also presented on this in the past, but yeah, always good to catch people up.
I think, yeah, I could, point to the links to the GitHub and the Sphinx documentation, but this is sort of where the constant or daily updates live. And so with the rolling 7-day average of the continental US, this just shows, you can identify, well, it started here, first wave, second wave, third wave, and some parts are seeing a bit of a fourth wave. I think that's what's causing this bump here. But as I'll show in the next, right after this, let's see if I can just move it. As you can see, after this, it seems like California just didn't really suffer through a fourth wave, because I think the vaccinations are doing a pretty good job here to keep the COVID cases going down, down, and down. And yeah, you see the peak of the terror was like in the wintertime from November to probably February. It just all spiked up. And then it's getting a little better, but it's still pretty bad. Like, it's easier to see if you look at the deaths. The Southwest and SoCal is still pretty bad, but it is slowly, looks like, getting better and better. So I'll show you now what I mean by what's happening with California. So I guess there was sort of a first wave that was a big spike, the second wave in the summertime, third wave during the winter. And this is what I meant that California, I don't think, really suffered a fourth wave. I think due to the fact that the vaccination effort really rolled out pretty well here, even though it's probably hard to say it was hard for me to say like a month and a half ago because it was impossible to get an appointment. But it looked like I eventually got one and got fully vax. I mean, I got my second shot almost 2 weeks ago now. Is you can see it here. Yeah, it's bad. It's really, really bad. But and LA County, that's this thing over here, both in cases and deaths, is by far, I think, the worst hit county in California, and currently the worst hit county in the US. It beat, I think, New York City a few months ago. But yeah, it looks really shitty. I mean, definitely, you know, around January, but it looks like it is getting a little better and better as time goes on. And so, you know, the coloration I'm showing here is the rolling 7-day average. You just take the average of new cases and deaths recorded in the past 7 days. So in a 7-day block and divide by 7 to get the rolling 7-day average there. And finally, I guess I could show, you know, when you see something in the news about Michigan, this is the place I think that suffered, I think you could call it a fourth wave. It looks, I'm going to sort of fast forward it a bit to here, you know, a little past the third wave. And this is what people were talking about in the news. It's sort of, you know, obvious to me from this visualization of this. I guess it got hit really badly, you know, fairly recently with, I'm not sure what it was, but it looked like it might have been a new variant of COVID, but like it really spiked up, almost hit 100, you know, new deaths per day. And you might notice things like these big spikes here. This is one reason why people look at 7-day or 14-day rolling averages. These spikes reflect, I guess, the spikes in reporting. I guess what happens is in a place like Michigan, they publicize, you know, batches of cases in weekly increments. That's why you see these big dips in time. I guess on Monday they don't really, you know, record new ones, and so because of that, because there's big spikes in reporting of cases and deaths, people take the 7-day average to more accurately reflect what's going on in, you know, in the US as a whole, as well as specific regions. And let me look at the one last thing. Well, I guess New York City, and you know, you could see that huge spike. It got hit really, really hard. You know, this is the thing where New York City just absolutely shut down, you know, around April, May, all this huge spike in cases. But I guess you could say, because they took it, you know, lockdown really seriously, because they were just apocalyptically hit. There's only really been two waves for COVID-19 in New York City, whereas for other places, it looks like there's been, you know, 3 or 4. And it didn't, you know, I think it was the only place in the US that didn't have that summer spike, the second spike, which happened here. It was just because I think New York City was completely locked down at the time. It did get hit by the winter spike, and the deaths did go above 100. I think, whoa, close to 200. But afterwards, it seems to like have gotten better.
I think it'd be pretty interesting to see some of this data mashed up against, you know, correlated stats. That I remember seeing one thing.
Yeah.
Flu deaths were just absolutely.
Yeah, they're gone. There's really nothing like the flu season at all in the past year, just because
I think
there's
another
no contact.
Yeah, I think another interesting one might be this one condition called cystic fibrosis, where you
Uh-huh.
basically just like people with cystic fibrosis have like are just like the most pure definition of immunocompromised. And so like with cystic fibrosis, you literally those people need to be 6 feet apart. There's even a movie about it called 6 Feet Apart. It's from like
Okay.
3 years ago or something like that. I bet cystic fibrosis deaths like went absolutely off a cliff, just like 10% or something like that. Probably
Although,
not
how
that, but
many?
drastically bad.
It must have been very drastic. Yeah.
Because the flu thing was a drastic change. Like for my money, what that meant was masks and social distancing, and then like not a bunch of huge events. They like they keep people from getting flu. It'd be
Yep.
interesting to see that stuff matched up against this. But this is such cool data. It's amazing how like granular it is.
Yeah. To be fair, all my work went into the geographical stuff, which I got from the Census Department. That is the populations, the latest stats on the populations of each county, as well as the geographical boundaries of each county. I got just the latest data set for that. I think I updated it in the past few weeks because the 2019 geographical data set came in actually sometime like 6 months ago. But I incorporated that update. It really didn't change much in terms of visualization. I probably didn't even change anything in terms of visualization. But yeah, this is just the main stuff that I have right now, at least the ones that are updated daily. And so there's, as I said, there's a GitHub page for all this stuff, a Sphinx documentation page where I document the API and the command line tools to create those plots and videos. And yeah, that's all I have to discuss. I guess next month, I can prepare a sort of a quickish tutorial on how to use Sphinx, like how to make sort of medium level, going up to medium level tutorial or introduction into Sphinx documentation. And maybe it'll help if I show you exactly what I mean by what Sphinx is. See, there we go. So when I describe Sphinx is a documentation tool to create websites of your code or instruction manuals. I've really only seen it apply to Python documentation, but there's also some for tools written in other languages like C or C++. I think it's it's a really nice thing because I'm not a web programmer, and to create something sort of this polished by from scratch, like you got to worry about your CSS, you got to worry about the low level bullets and Bootstrap, and I'm throwing around web design buzzwords because I don't really understand it. With something like Sphinx, I don't really have to. You write the language in a markup language. So the best known markup language is something like Markdown. You write that up, you run it through basically a parser that converts that markup language. In this case, it's not Markdown, it's something called restructured text, and converts it into the HTML you see here. And Sphinx has other nice tools because it allows you to document your code and document your API. That is, you've got things in your Python code called doc strings, which are basically instructions on the operation of your methods or classes, or to document whatever public variables you choose to have, you choose to expose in your code. And Sphinx has nice tooling that converts that and exposes that into your web page. So here's sort of some of the things it can do. And I didn't really spend a lot of time dealing with with the formatting, Sphinx handles that for you. The nice feature of a markup language like restructured text is it allows you to focus on the content rather than spend too much time worrying about the formatting. So here's just, this animated gifs, which you can, put into Sphinx. In fact, this thing is hosted on GitHub, and this. And here's what I mean by the API, that it allows you to actually have stuff, take stuff in your code that documents your code called doc strings, and turn it into just descriptions, API descriptions of your code base. So let's see, it's a good one. And all this stuff, this is sort of the format it does. You could even, do something fairly fancy, like point to image links in your code, and Sphinx will take that and create, nicely formatted instructional manuals that looks like this. And I guess I could talk a little bit about that. I don't want to implode anybody's head, so I'll, just do a much reduced description of what you can do with Sphinx.
Well, I'm
Just
open to implosion.
Okay, but at least I think the way I'll do it is, here's example 1, 2, 3, 4, like a formula. You've got a file you want to deploy and download, and you want to have some, API documentation, something tiny and self-contained, so that less head implosion, more demonstration, and maybe something a little fancy, like you have an image in your code or in your main documentation. Here's how to put it in. Here's how to actually, you see something called figure 4.2. There's a way to, identify your images so that they have a link and a reference, so you can refer to them in your code base. So, you click on this link, and lo and behold, it'll point to, this thing, and it just pop into that. And I find something like that really useful. Another really nice feature of Sphinx, and I'm probably bleeding into the thing I'm going to talk about if you'll have me, next month, is this search box here. So you just put a search term because maybe there's some executable you don't remember, and it will just allow you to just go where you need to go. Or maybe there's all this other stuff. You could do this and that sort of thing. And it also allows you to, highlight code blocks. So what can't it do? At least for what I want it to do. In fact, for people where I work, if they say they have some code that they want to document, I say, show me the Sphinx website that you developed so I can quickly figure out what exactly you're trying to show me.
Well, will you zoom in on the text there?
Yeah, sure. So this is actually formatted as JSON, and you can specify that. Yeah. You can say, oh, I want all the line. I want it to highlight the, just tell me the line numbers. And there's also a functionality. You can specify which lines you want. You could tell it to have a set of lines and only highlight certain ones. There's really lots of things, functionality you get out of the box fairly straightforwardly in Sphinx. Ironically, the website for Sphinx documentation is only so-so, but documentation is one of those things that nobody's really learned how to do a good job at. So even the documentation systems don't have the greatest documentation.
Yeah, right. Stack Overflow wouldn't exist otherwise.
That's right, yes. So yeah, that's about it. Any questions? I know I sort of went through it all in one.
So do you have people looking at this documentation? Are there, because I was under the impression that this was more like side project for you, or was
Yeah,
this just like so that you could learn it, or?
A little bit. I think it was a little bit of learning it, a little bit of therapy. A few people have looked at it, mostly in my experience, to figure out how to do stuff from it, like they get ideas from this. I think a good example was, let me see, let me look at movie updates. Let's see if there's something here. I had a description that said, what did it do? Like, oh, create movie or summary, movie mode. Like, for example, here, Dr. Flask, talked to me maybe 2 sessions ago, was talking about to help me, create tooling that can index the data that I have. I've also incorporated MP4 metadata into these MP4 files that describe, what region it is, what kind of region it is, and when it was created, so that the code that I have to index and organize the data becomes relatively stateless. That is, instead of also having knowledge when creating the indexing, like passing it information that becomes unwieldy to contain, like in addition to organizing the data, also realize it's from this date or this many days after start. It gets the information from JSON files or from movie files. It just queries the metadata to get it directly from there to create sort of less stateful, I should say, organizational infrastructure. One good example being that continuous, like, daily updating COVID-19 page that I showed probably 20 minutes ago or 30 minutes ago. So there's, little bits of this and that I've just sprinkled in my output to make at least my work easier to understand. There are, of course, obvious improvements to make to this tooling, because it turns out a lot of the persistent data, like the geographical data, it makes sense to have some continuous persistent database, a website or what have you, that this tooling can query, rather than right now, for instance, when I run the daily updating executable in parallel, what it does is it just has to basically slurp up the geographical data each time for each instance, run it, and then shut down. But that's inefficient, because that takes 30 or 40 seconds per MPI process to do that sort of thing for executable. Whereas if it were sitting somewhere that maybe I don't have to worry about, and in the best possible case I don't have to pay for, then it would just be just a query to that thing, which in the best case would probably be very quick, and it would go from there. There wouldn't be the startup cost associated with it. Another thing is the New York Times database update. The same server, it makes sense, could just have another cron job that just slurps that up every few hours or so. And so when I create these visualizations, it wouldn't explicitly try to do a database update. It would just take the latest state from the database as it stands and then perform the visualizations that way. So I guess the biggest, most obvious improvement somebody could make is to have data or data structure persistence. That would make a more elegant solution to this visualization problem. But I think I've done enough therapy. I don't really have the time to do something like that. I think I've gone pretty much as far as I'll go. But if it is open source, and I guess I have talked to a friend of mine who works in epidemiology in France. This really sounds like something a summer student could probably hack onto. Oh, I can't hear you.
Yeah, hack. That's a good idea. Does Lawrence Livermore want to run a hackathon? There's this group, Hack Makers, that just did one with the UN. They did a really good one.
I guess they could, but I'm kind of worried that if they say yes, they'll probably tell me or gang press me to fully describe and take one or two people fully up to speed on what this thing does, which is like, oh man, do I have the time for this?
Right. Just a thought.
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
just point them at the presentations.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly. Like
RTFM, that's
these
right.
are the manuals, people.
And just do a git clone, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Yeah, that Sphinx does look really useful. I've got a project that would probably benefit.
It's the learning curve isn't that steep. The biggest hurdle is something like restructured text. And if you've done stuff with Markdown, you're already fairly aware of the concept of and benefit of a markup language.
Well, very cool. Anyone else got any questions for Tanim on this update? I'm sure this is not the last we've heard from him. Cool. Well, thanks again, Tanim. Appreciate you sharing each time these past few meetings. This is a really cool project and really well done. It's really neat to see how you keep adding stuff to it.
Very slowly.
Hey, slow cooked
Yeah.
is sometimes the best eaten. All right. Okay, he has ended sharing. So let's go to the intro. No, intermission. Oh no, did I saved two things as intermission? Oh, this is a crapshoot. Oh no, there we go. Okay, cool. All right, so I guess for the sake of just getting the visual up there, I'm up next. I'm going to talk about this project I was talking about before. It's kind of it's a marketing and branding project essentially. It's kind of inspired by Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg recently, not that recently, started a new brand for himself so he could do other things, and he just called himself like Snoop Lion. And basically, it's it's a different trademark and all that, and so it allows him freedom to do some other things. And then he's gotten very clever with those sorts of things. But the general idea was to come up with a project, and I wasn't going for rapper, wasn't going for I don't know, movie star, YouTube streamer star, or something like that, or SoundCloud, or whatever. I kind of wanted to get something that was like right in the middle, art and technology. So I made a GitHub account and a SoundCloud account to start, and I called them frymatic. So let's get into what we got for that. Where is it? All right, so I'm gonna try to give you guys updates on this project because it's been fun. And I want to at least just give myself a forcing function for, I don't know, accountability or something like that. Oh, it's doing some exporting. There we go. All right, guys. My name's Woody, but in some corners of the internet, you can find me as Frymatic. The full name is Maestro Frymatic. It's kind of a title like Mr. Frymatic, but Maestro being, the conductor of either an orchestra or a kitchen, because often they'll call a chef a maestro. But in general, it's about generalists skills and not specialist skills because I'm attempting to coordinate a whole bunch of collaborations. And the first one was open source, and the second one was, free music, basically. So there are literally some people out there that only know me as frymatic. It's been kind of fun. It's not that weird of a concept for me because I come from video gaming. And so before this, I used to be called Fish Taco Stand because I lived in San Diego and I like to play Halo 2 on Xbox Live back in the day. So Frymatic's kind of a spiritual. I was trying to do like a time travel kind of joke. So like it's a spiritual predecessor that came later because a small fish, like a baby fish, is called a fry. And so in gaming, I had a certain style to me. And then, in professional life, I had another style. And this is kind of where the fun meets the work or where the work meets the play. Yeah. Anyway, it's a little engineering, a little art. It's really just an open conversation. I do a lot of talking just on Discord, and it's fun to do this monthly thing. So you can call me Woody, you can call me Frymatic, you could call me Fish Taco Stand. I'd answer to all of those. But yeah. So the idea with Frymatic is, if you look back at music, you've got Dr. Dre, and then you've got his record label, Death Row Records or something like that. And then you see, okay, Dr. Dre and Death Row Records produced for Eminem early in his career, who then went on to run his own company and produce other people like 50 Cent. This isn't supposed to be some demo of like rap skill or knowledge or something like that. The point is, it's this, business structure for handling art. So Frymatic and Brazen are kind of like fused at the hip because Frymatic is an artist under the Brazen Studios brand. So Brazen Studios is my Delaware-based C Corp. I intentionally went straight to C Corp because this is going to be a holding company, and we'll basically pay like $0 in income taxes per year because we're not going to pay revenue, or we're not going to pay. It's only going to be holdings, akin to like Berkshire Hathaway or Alphabet or a number of other companies, but those most notably, I'd say. But basically, yeah, Frymatic is the right head. A right head is something from like CDs or electronic recording. The thing that connects with the media on which something's being recorded is called the right head. And so there's a right head on like a CD thing. There's right heads on like old spinning hard disks. The idea is Frymatic is the right head of Brazen Studios. So Brazen Studios have been around since 2020, September, I believe. So I'd say the most applicable studio effort that comes out of Brazen Studios to our moment here is SacPy. I consider SacPy to be a nonprofit in the umbrella of Brazen Studios, but I don't believe C Corps can own nonprofits. I don't know, maybe they can. Need to figure that out. Jeremy, if you ever watch this, yeah, we'll probably talk about it before you see this. Yeah, so SacPy is really fun because I really like the general open source concept. I'm not getting paid to do this. It's really fun to like meet you guys, and I don't know, the spirit of the problem, I think, when it comes to the Python game is like build stuff and then get it out there, and then if it's useful, then we can like kind of merge it into the core of this thing. And this isn't me trying to change the kernel of Python. This is just kind of fun because it's like an opportunity to add another branch to the like community tree that is that surrounds Python. And so it's been fun. It's gotten more interesting, I think, with Zoom, particularly pandemic, because we've gotten people from all over and not just Sacramento. We're going to get back to in person at a certain point. I don't know if I'm going to be the guy running that, but if someone's interested in starting to think about that, I'm suspecting at least by this time next year, if not sooner, probably sooner, we'll be able to resume the in-person stuff. But as you guys know, I've been bouncing around a little bit, so don't know if I'm going to be the regular guy to be in person if we were to go to say Urban Hive again, or I believe there's a group in Granite Bay that was a previous sponsor. They said they'd host us before all of this. And then there's another one in Midtown, I think called Hacker Lab. In any case, I don't know. If anyone's interested, reach out afterwards or whenever. It's going to be a while till we resume in-person stuff, but if you're interested in helping out with that, let me know. But yeah, SacPy, it's been a fun open source thing. A lot of you guys have contributed a whole lot of great stuff, and it's kind of fun to do these Brady Bunch photos because if nothing else, you can turn your camera on when we do the thing and you can become part of the art. Obvious standouts for SacPy, recent contributor Tanim hails from Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. And that is the star of the show, the real star of the show is Jumbo. Is Jumbo there with you?
He had to go to bed. He had to go to bed because, you know, it's his bedtime.
Well, yeah,
And he gets cranky if he doesn't get enough sleep.
yeah. Well, anyway, appreciate all your contributions the past few months. It's been really cool.
Thank you.
We've also recently, I think it was November of last year, we had James Tejada from Cap Radio. It's a local member station in Sacramento for NPR. And he did a thing that was pretty cool. It was handling the fundraising, just like bureaucracy, handling the shuffling and organizing of the files around new contributions. And I think they were getting posted to the Slack channel. And then his thing was scraping that stuff up with a Slack bot, handling things in Pandas and then like Google Sheets. He did some migration of Excel to Google Sheets, and then I think he was also scraping a website using Selenium. So it was a pretty cool project. But yeah, hopefully we hear from James again in the future. That was an awesome installment. I'll link to that one. It was the November one. I think there might be some new content coming up. I guess we'll see. Robert's been talking about this for a while because he's been doing a whole bunch of stuff in Node JS. And it's like I think it's a server framework variant of JavaScript. I don't know a ton about it, but it sounds like he's been having fun with that and he wants to add an additional monthly or something like that series. But he's not with us today, so maybe we'll hear more about that. But I was having fun from the Brazen Studios approach, making the mashup logo here through the SacPy thing in the middle. It's pretty lame. All right, so SacPy is coming up. Oh, title text, that's not great. So Nilesh was he's I think he pays for the meetup license that we have for SacPy. So he's the de facto owner of the meetup. I just organize the meetings and stuff, but he runs a number of meetings from time to time, and he reached out recently and said he wants to get a hackathon together June 4th to 7th. Yeah, keep your ear to the social medias. I think he'll probably make some updates and meet up. I'll keep passing on what's going on there. All right, so frymatic and Brazen Studios, we do a lot of support of startups. I come from the startup space, and I spent 10 years in Silicon Valley doing all manner of startup type things and some other kind of lame jobs too, and some fun ones. Delivered pizza, made pizza, sold pizza, ref soccer, did some door-to-door sales before Groupon was a thing, but also managed to get into the doors at Google for a minute. Started a venture-backed medical tourism company, and worked in the video game industry for quite some time, and it was really fun building stuff. And I think along the way, I got to the realization I didn't want to just work on one thing and try to be like, oh, the next Facebook or something like that. I wanted to be able to work with as many people as possible. And I had this one friend in particular who is a total raconteur. Oh man, I need to get a sip of something. Here we go. All right, cheers, everyone. Parch there. Much better. I had his friend. He's now on the East Coast. Been good friends with him since 1990. He's been trying to work with me for some time. The thing is, the guy is just this like idea dynamo. So I I didn't want to let him down. So I made him wait until I felt like I was comfortable attempting to keep up with his rate of ideation. So I thought I'd finally take a swing at it once I got my antibodies test. And it said I had the antibodies. Got my Moderna today. But I've been going out to Virginia Beach this year. I've been out twice this year. I went scouted it out late last year. But the last few times I was there, I was working to help my friend set up his thing called Outlier Studio. It is a room in his house that he has converted into a recording studio. He had all his favorites, found out what kind of tech they were using, and bought a handful of nice microphones and other bits of audio equipment. And he's been running a podcast, but he came up with a, I think, pretty interesting idea. We'll see if it bears out. I think it might if we get it working right. He wants to rent out the studio because he's also an Airbnb host, and he figures he can get some interest in showing people how to record stuff. And I'm helping him make that a little bit turnkey. So it's called Outlier Studio, and he is Outlier Podcast. He picks epic names for things when he's describing himself. So Outlier Podcast is what he came to me with. He's a really big dude. He's got a bigger personality, and he's a really personable guy and tells a pretty funny story from time to time. Usually tells a crazy story from time to time too. But he's a very entertaining guy. He's had some interesting people on thus far. One guy was a Navy SEAL officer, serial entrepreneur. Another guy, it was a Navy JAG and social media kind of like thought leader for some time. And then another guy came on, was a producer for the Daily Show, runs his own startup, bigmusictent.com. More on that later. But yeah, Outlier Podcast. He is just getting started. There he is, 30 subscribers, 2 videos, 121 views total, or 221 views. 201? Man, I can't do math. 70 plus 131. 201, right? Yeah. We got a bunch of content in the pipeline. He's a funny guy. We're keeping it brief for the moment as we like get our act together. You should have seen the video on the first one. Oh man, it's choppy. Anyway, so one of the things while I'm out there with Outlier Studio is there's a number of other interesting artists in the community. One of which her name is Jamie Phillips. She did this piece. This is actually a painting on top of a coffee table that she made. She's incredibly talented painter, and she's had a number of murals commissioned around the Virginia Beach area. She just got a deal to do the Junior Markets mural. So this is big, like side of a building. It's going to be pretty cool. I've seen a whole bunch of her art in person. It's just amazing. But this was the picture she chose as like the back of her business card. So it's the one, she kind of holds up as like representative of her portfolio. It's called The Effortless Struggle. But as you can see, NFTs is the title of this slide. So we turned this one into an NFT. It's now available on OpenSea.io. I think she put it up for like 7.5 Ethereum. I think it's maybe an ambitious play, but I like it. I think it's brazen. It's very bold. But yeah, it's kind of fun when out there working on the podcast, just trying to just I don't know, recognizing opportunities to help artists get their work out there. So I hope this works out for her. I think we'll hopefully do a bunch more NFTs, but she got her first NFT out there, which is kind of exciting. So basically what Brazen Studios offers is as a basic consulting package, engagement, growth, and retention. We do engagement through social media marketing. Social media is the easiest place to, or cheapest place to generate a bunch of buzz around a brand because it's basically all earned media. If you can generate content and get it out there, and you're like earlier on in your efforts, it's a great way to like generate a conversation around your brand. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do though if you're willing to throw some money at it. So in the growth category, SEO, we're working on helping brands to get new users, and so yeah, and once you've got them, you got to hold on to them. So we help with user operations. I was a community manager or like online community manager for video games. I've done a whole bunch of customer support. I've done a good amount of account management and just general logistics and operations. If you can handle your crowd lightly when they're having a hard time, and get them going where they thought they were going to be going on a rapid basis, and your user operations are tight, it can go a long way towards keeping it all together, preserving your investment. So some of my social media experience, done a whole bunch of stuff. Video games, we're on Facebook, as you can see. I should add those up. It's a few likes there. I also run a Twitter account. It's kind of fun. It's in this Python-ish space, related to Google's TensorFlow toolkit. That one's more like a joke by frymatic, if you will, where I don't know. I like AI, but I think it's fun to be lighthearted about it. And they weren't doing anything with the TensorFlow account, so I was like, all right, well, see if I can get a few likes. I did. 30,000 is okay. And then I put the meetup on there too. This is one of the slides of the thing that goes out on my proposal. I'll tell you guys if this is at all useful, or rather successful. I'm also working on a game. I made some NFTs on that. I run a page on that. So one of the cool things about the studio, one of those guests was also an entrepreneur. He's running this website called bigmusictent.com. This was the title slide that I sent them, helping them out with their engagement, growth, and retention. But they are effectively, they're like Udemy or any of those like learning websites. Why can't I think of any others? There's a ton of them, but they're education for music. And right now they have two artists. One guy plays the guitar. He's amazing. He's the most recent addition, but the founding edition was a guy who plays a resonator guitar. It's played sideways. You use a slide. I think it's got like steel strings. It's really cool. It's in a lot of blues music. It's called a dobro, and they found a really interesting niche to start things off. They've gotten a good amount of traction. So I started off with a SWOT analysis for the guys. Their strengths, this dobro thing that I spoke of, the guitar, you play it sideways with a slide. It's really cool. Bigmusictent.com, check it out. If you look for dobro online, like there's not a whole lot that comes up. And so they have this really interesting opportunity because of their niche content to be able to like really get their foot in the door on music lessons, because there's all these educational sites these days, but they're trying to break into the music education space. I don't think they're the only ones out there. I know there's some competition, but that's always a good sign if there's a market. But like I said, the guy that introduced me to this, he was a producer for live shows. so they do really high quality videos thanks to his coordination, and I think probably a good amount of like hands-on operations too, because it's just a few of them. Right now, though, weaknesses are that there's low search volume, but like I said, social media is a really great opportunity to start getting the conversation around your brand going, and that's what gets your search volume up. That said, not much competition in the space of Dobro lessons. If you look up Dobro lessons, you will see that they don't even have people buying ads for it. And basically, you can get to the top of the search results on Google for Dobro lessons just by the proper YouTube tagging. So we're hoping to get them off the ground with that. But right now, if there's any threats, I'd say just like mobile is going off the cliff for search. So SEO, if things aren't getting searched on Google because people are doing it direct in YouTube or something like that, well, maybe paying for ads on search is not as important. Still important. I'm working with these guys to create a editorial pipeline for them. I'm helping them to organize their thinking around their social media. I break things down into just 3 general concepts. We talk about themes. We talk about content types. We talk about channels. And then, hopefully visualized in as, easy to understand as possible. So one example I put in there for their proposal is they've got an event coming up for the 2 guys that are working and in the big music tent, as it were, teaching their particular trades. And then they've got a guy I think they need to get next, Tommy Emmanuel, and they're doing a concert together, and apparently it's sold out. But that's a great opportunity to generate buzz around the thing. So, I'm hoping that works out. So themes for posts, in their case, we'd have many different types of themes. First and foremost is just the brand itself. You want to get traffic to the big music tent. Like I said, next up, artists. Like I said, there were 2 artists in the brand when I first met them, and hopefully they will have many artists. Maybe they'll have artists to cover every single possible instrument or something like that. And then multiple artists per instrument, no doubt, because there are definitely tons of different styles. But one of the themes would be to focus on a particular artist and then promote what they've built, their lessons. Maybe they have a new album on Spotify, new music video on YouTube, something like that. But the theme would be focus on the particular artist. Next would be like a bit of content itself. And since the core concept for Big Music Tent is education in music, then that particular type of theme would just be like lessons. Here's a lesson on what to do when you're tuning your dobro, or why does it use a slidey thingy? What's the slidey thingy calling? But new content, and you want to get people on the site, or you want to drive subscriptions. They run a theme for particular lessons. And then, events. This is about music. And, even though it's COVID, people are still running events. They're doing online stuff, streams and things like that. But it's not going to be like that forever. I don't think when things open up enough to run concerts the same way they did before COVID, I don't think streaming's all of a sudden going to be discounted again. I think it's probably just notable new addition, and it's kind of here to stay. But yeah, so like events like that one that was in the pipeline, they sold out their event. So, but if they're selling tickets for those things, put an event thing out early on and drive ticket sales. It's kind of the name of the game, I think. But so they're gonna have a bunch of students. They already do. They're doing well, I think, with how they're engaging with them. They've got really active forums. They've got this whole process where you send in a video, and then the guy will critique you as though we're a lesson. And I think it's kind of cool because it's it's open to paying members, and so it's like I don't know, you can learn from other people learning from the guy. I don't know. It's really neat. But anyway, presumably some of these people might get pretty good. At some point, they might be able to, recognize some new talent because they came through bigmusic.com. Or, there was just some unique interaction and they captured it because it's a game of sending videos back and forth about learning a particular thing. But if you can spotlight that stuff, you can kind of stoke the imagination as far as what you're doing from the community perspective. They have a handful of things with interviews. That's all behind closed doors right now. I think they need to get that out from behind the paywall, because that's a real interesting one where you've got, I don't know, a bunch of minds meeting. And then finally, like engagement. I'm sure you've all seen meme culture on social media. I'm not saying post a bunch of memes, but basically there's a point, I think, at any given, like say week or so, where a brand should try to, relate to something that's not just them selling their product. I don't know what that means for the world of Dobro, but I think we're going to figure it out. It'll be interesting. There's a few core types of content that go out on social media. If you're just, thinking about what you need to say for your brand, if that's something you have to do, starting your own company and you're a tech guy, just break it down to a few things. Post images or links. If you're feeling brave and you want to do something a little more candid, I'd recommend a story and not something super permanent. That's like, front facing cam, talk to the thing. Do those they have them on YouTube, they have them on Facebook now. Instagram is pretty relevant for people of all ages, definitely for most brands. But sometimes, the more like candid stuff, it's better if it disappears. So a lot of options for that. But if you got something really good that bears repeating and sharing and all that, put it in video, because if a picture's worth 1,000 words, what's a video worth? And then for these guys, there's a bunch of channels out there available for them. They didn't have a Facebook page. I don't think they have a Twitter. They haven't. A bunch of them have Instagrams. I think the company has an Instagram. They got a YouTube channel, which is great. I think they plug into another teaching service called Teachables. They've expressed interest in putting stuff on TikTok, and why not? It seems to be a pretty sticky platform. I don't know how many like Dobro challenges you're gonna get the kids doing, but you never know. It's the internet. The internet's the greatest of all time. It's completely undefeated. And then Twitch. I mentioned before, like these guys have a concert. It's sold out, but streaming is, I think, still here to stay. And some of that stuff could go to Twitch. Ooh, maybe they could do their concert to Twitch. Ooh, I should talk to that. Craig, let's do Twitch for May 9th. 3 days. All right, I mentioned Dobro has I don't know. It's a unique thing. It's very niche meaning like focused content. A very specific community is interested in it, and it's likely not a lot of people have heard it, but you can find people that are really into it. And then you can also kind of see why like they're into it when you watch some of the stuff. Dobro sounds really neat. I didn't know what it was until like a month ago, but their opportunity here. I don't know if you guys recognize this format. That's Google search. I think you might recognize that. As you can see, there are no ads of any sort above the videos, to the right of the videos, nothing. All you'd have to do is get into the top 4 videos in there for Dobro, and it seems like one's from 2009, one's from 2008, 2010, 2017. It might not be the hardest thing to do. Anyway, like I said, they had a bunch of content. It's great. They're hosting this just in a WordPress site. I thought they did a good idea. I think it just came down to the fact they have just like a bunch of good looking videos. I think this is how you do it. We're going to figure it out. But basically, I think if you tag and link like crazy on YouTube videos, you can go a long way to moving yourself up the list. And if you got something specific like Dobro, could win that niche. So looking at YouTube stuff out there, YouTube channels, artists, like what content works, why something is a hit. Tried to figure things out. I think it's going to be an ongoing process, but I came across two main things, and I'm sure if you guys know PewDiePie, you've heard of T-Series. You may have heard of PewDiePie. I don't know if has anyone not heard of PewDiePie that's willing to speak up and say who? Anyway, he's got a whole bunch of subscribers on YouTube. And he basically makes all this content himself. There's a bunch of people in it, but it's one guy just going nuts every single day. And he puts out these like relatively long videos. I wish I had stats on the average video length. I think his are way longer than your average T-Series video. Now, PewDiePie had some amount of subscribers, but this other platform is basically a production studio. They post videos that are, I believe, mostly trailers to upcoming movies. And so the artists are, production studios. So there's many submissions to it. And you can see the difference in output is notable. It's almost 4 times the output at 15,000 plus videos. But it only gets them, 60% again, more subscribers. But the real thing is the number of eyeballs they're getting because of the overall quality, because it's not just all riding on one person. They're averaging 100, or they have 151 billion views. And if you average that out, they're getting basically more than double the eyeballs that your average PewDiePie video was. So for me, it was pretty obvious. If you can be that aggregator of content, that's the way to do it. Also, if you've seen PewDiePie, that guy's hectic. Amazing energy, but wow. He definitely prioritizes shipping over polish. He has this moment, so sorry, Pewds. But anyway, we're gonna look at SEO for him all the same. One of my buddies that I worked with in the past for that medical tourism thing suggested A/B testing was a good way to go with these things. I have to just create 2 landing pages, he says. And then you can do A/B testing in Google Ads. And then, time box it, whichever one wins, check the other one. And then just dig around in the keyword search, figure out what's high volume, low competition, cheap as possible, or just figure out what's really going to be important if you really want to go after a particular category, because sometimes you can spend a good amount of money. But anyway, that was on the consulting front. The frymatic thing, continuing on, it's like an open source project. I'm not against making money. At some point, I would definitely like to sell these services, or at least have a donation link up or something like that. I'm not rushing into that, but I do like to contribute as much as possible to the open source community. And recently I've been having fun with hackathons, to be precise. Early this year, or was it late last year? No, it was early this year. I entered a hackathon for Postman with some people that I met through Discord that would just, it's kind of the effects of COVID at home. Everyone's online. So met some people on the Lex Friedman server. We did a hackathon. It was kind of fun. And one of the guys that joined us towards the end, he found another one. That one was for Microsoft. And we had some fun with that. And I think we were building something, doing some pair programming in the Discord server, and someone jumped in and said, "Hey, the UN's doing a hackathon. You join?" And so I joined this team for the World Innovation Day hackathon. It was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Judging is still in. Vote up team. But basically, there's all these like sustainable development goals, and we had to pick one or two. We went for the category of good health and well-being. There were 2 targets that we chose. One was 3.8, which is achieve universal health coverage, and we did that by making an open source API for ultrasound probes. And we had a handful of machine learning folks in the crowd. That's really that's Lex Friedman's realm. He's a machine learning professor from MIT. I'm not sure if he's there anymore. He's been podcasting lately, so I think he's found that that's been spreading the message faster than being at MIT. I don't know, but basically, they did a machine learning enabled platform. The idea being that like these things were like kind of difficult to learn how to use, and if we could, do some of the pattern recognition, build it into the interface, it could be something to be like easier for someone to pick up and run with. And the other was target 3.d, improve early warning systems for global health risks. We created a platform with predictive models, but yeah, I'll post a link to the video. Basically, it was a big team. We were 8 time zones. And this one guy had been working on ultrasound stuff, and he was real excited about how cheap ultrasound was getting. And so we were up ultrasound probes and up against COVID. I thought that was clever. Yeah, ultrasounds, they use them for prenatal care. Basically, there's all these patterns that have been identified in COVID, and we got all these models for them and trained them in the cloud. I actually didn't have anything to do with that. I'd love to get Luke on here to talk about that. I did more of the video. But yeah, this is essentially what the platform mapped out like. Oracle was a part of the hackathon. They gave us some Oracle cloud compute resources or something like that. I think we're still doing something with that. Yeah, ultrasounds are getting cheap, and as you can see, like a CT scan on the left there, a lot easier to say like, oh, that's definitely like that's a human, versus on the right, it's like, it's kind of like some gray waves or something like that. But if you know how to read the things, ultrasounds can be really instructive for healthcare, but it does take a trained eye, and that takes about 2 years to get it right. But we figure with a machine learning platform, and then people really, still being heavily affected by COVID, would hopefully be able to share the data and do a global thing. Anyway, I've been rambling. The frymatic project is I don't know, it's bumpy, but it's been fun. I'm in the Discord server. You can find me on Twitter. I think I got a Facebook page. I do silly events from time to time. They're more conceptual than actual in person. But yeah. Sorry we didn't have much Python this month, but at this point, I wanted to. Well, anyone have any questions about that? Otherwise, we'll open the floor, and I think there was maybe a few people who wanted to show something, but yeah. Any questions about what frymatic is? Cool. All right, guys. Well, let's see. Let's end this one. Down to 6 people.
Yeah, I guess maybe I can end this with yeah, that's okay. I can do that some other time.
Yeah. Hopefully next month we're gonna have that. Have that.
Sphinx. Well,
The Sphinx. Well, the Docker meetup thing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just a little too last minute for him. Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for showing up, guys. Thanks for our sponsors. SacPy provided this Zoom. Tanim's been providing awesome content. So thanks for speaking. If you want to speak, there's a QR code. We'll put the link in the description. You can find me on Slack or Discord. At some point, we'll actually do something with the emails we've been collecting, but there's a mailing list. I'll leave this running for the next 20 minutes or so. If anyone's got any blockers on something they're working on, if you're just getting started, this is a great time to ask what's up. But otherwise, yeah. Thanks for coming, guys. I'll be back. Oh no, did it work? That's not right. There we go.
Looks like
All right.
everybody left. So
Cool. All right. Well, hey, we win once again. Yeah, sorry this
Okay.
one wasn't as tight as
That's
some of the
all right.
past. Dude, I've been traveling a bunch because it was like birthdays the last few weeks. But hey, whatever. If you build it, they will come. People showed up. We made stuff. It was
Sure,
good.
yeah, don't worry about it. Everybody's
Oh.
busy. These things happen.
Hey, I'm not worried about it. This is one more way to showcase your genius, sir. Thanks again for all the content, dude. I'm gonna.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me.